What's up, Chiefs Kingdom? Noah Gray here, tight end for the Kansas City Chiefs. Make sure you like, share, and subscribe to Josh's channel and check out showmefootball.com for more.
What is up, Chiefs Kingdom? Welcome back to another video on my channel. My name is Josh Fan of showmefootball.com and arrowheadaddict.com, covering your Kansas City Chiefs. And tonight I am joined, as always, by my good friend Michael Darcy of KC Sports Report. And guys, we have an interesting injury update on Chiefs cornerback 2 Jaylen Watson. Now, Jaylen Watson, Michael, is a player that most have presumed out for the year, out for the rest of the season. There have been rumblings here and there that maybe he could return. And he himself actually replied to Dan Harms of RGR Football after he said that he was going to be out for the year. Jaylen Watson himself replied to him saying, or contesting it, essentially. I'm paraphrasing here, but he contested it saying like, I didn't say that. So Jaylen Watson thinks there's a good chance that he'll be back. But of course, that's a lot different than what the medical team determines and what the Chiefs coaches are able to determine. But Michael, on Monday evening, Mitch Holthus, the Chiefs radio commentator, decided to fuel these rumors that a late season return for Jaylen Watson is still possible. And I'm grabbing this quote from Clay Wendler on X. And this was from Mitch Holthus's radio segment on 96.5 The Fan. But he says, the Chiefs could go into Pittsburgh with the 1 seed locked up. There is that chance. That would be the best case. If the Chiefs can get the bye, they will go 24 days and play 1 game. And that 1 game against Denver might be a replication of what it was last year against the Chargers. And then here's the juicy part. Don't talk about rust versus rest. Not a team that's played 7 years and 6. It would be like a brand new training camp. You're going to be able to get Hollywood Brown back and maybe Jaylen Watson to get the bye by the end of the Houston game on December 21st would be an early Christmas present. So, Michael, let's start it off with this. That is a pretty exciting quote from Mitch Holthus about the potential return of Jaylen Watson. How likely do you think it is that Jaylen Watson could come back late in the year? Is this something that you initially had given up on? Are you now engaged once again on this happening? And do you think Mitch Holthus knows something that we don't?
Well, he would definitely know something more than we do. We're just, sitting here in our living rooms talking about it. But listen, a couple months ago, I started kind of having that theory that maybe Jaylen Watson could actually come back for a postseason run. And we kind of had that get shut down pretty quickly. I remember there was a report from Matt Derrick of ChiefsDigest.com kind of saying something that the organization wasn't banking on Jaylen Watson coming back. But if I remember correctly, it wasn't like he is out for the season. Now, it's interesting because Jaylen Watson throughout this process has been kind of a Twitter warrior, I guess, for lack of a better term. Like, he has been kind of adding fuel to the fire. He's always tweeting stuff after the Chiefs win. And, he's always kind of sort of answering that injury question with don't count me out. And I didn't say that. And so it's like, okay, Jaylen, what is going on? You're teasing us a little bit. And then for Mitch Holthus to go on the radio, and he's a pretty, I would say, a tight-lipped guy. He's not going to say something within the organization that is completely just false because he's a reputable broadcaster. He's one of the best in the NFL, and I don't think that he's just going to air out news or say something that doesn't have a possibility of coming true. Now, the key point in that quote was maybe, but why are we even talking about maybe if there's not a shot? Now, I wouldn't bank on it, just like the Chiefs organization is not banking on it, but if there's a will, there's a way. Maybe if the Chiefs do get that first round bye, it gets Jaylen Watson a week healthier. Who knows what kind of impact that could have? And so, Josh, I don't want to count on this. I'm not going to, say that he is going to come back this season or even in the playoffs, but there's a shot. There's a chance, and that's better than no shot or no chance.
Yeah, I think that's a big part of it is whether or not the Kansas City Chiefs do secure that first round bye in the playoffs. Now, some people will say, well, Jaylen Watson would be out regardless. It doesn't affect him either way. But it does kind of open up that window where there is no football being played. There's no travel. Now, I'm not for sure if Jaylen Watson has been traveling with the team at all throughout this. I'm going to assume no. But
I don't think so.
But the thing is you have that time where there really is no game planning going on or anything like that, especially because you don't know who your opponent is yet if you're on the bye week. So that time is dedicated towards working on your body, towards getting recovered. And we're going to see that with a lot of Chiefs players, not just Jaylen Watson. But I would think that would definitely not hurt in terms of whether or not you could get them back. I definitely think, though, that this is maybe something that we counted out maybe a little too soon. And Mitch Holthus is just kind of reminding us, hey, Jaylen Watson still could come back. We're just not going to know up until the very end because that injury is one that does take a while to come from. He broke his leg. That's tricky. And he would also have to get into game shape. That's been a big conversation with some of these other players we talked about such as Steven Nelson or DJ Humphries, who came in here. You have to get those guys into shape. And I don't know what kind of shape Jaylen Watson would be in, but I would think that if the Kansas City Chiefs can get him back, they would try like hell because we've seen what the alternative is.
Here's the thing. Was it a broken leg or a broken ankle? Because those two things are very different.
I believe the official terminology used was a broken fibula.
Was it? Let's do some research on that because I initially thought it was a broken ankle, but the leg's all connected at some point, right? There's some overlapping. But like depending on the severity of the injury, Pacheco came back in what? Yeah. 9
or it
weeks?
It was a real quick, I'll follow up. They called it a fibula tibia ankle in parentheses. So yeah, there you have it.
Okay. So an ankle injury, but it's kind of connected. It's obviously connected to the leg, but there's a leg injury / ankle injury. It looks like it's dealing with his ankle mostly. Maybe that is, able to come back from that. Like I'm trying to count in my mind, and I'm not a doctor. I don't know medical stuff very well, but I'm trying to count the timeline of how long Isaiah Pacheco was out because he was out from week 2 to what week?
Just came back against the Raiders. That was his first game back. That was 2 weeks ago,
right?
Week
13?
I think you're right. I think that was week 13.
So it's around 11-week injury, and that's with him returning to practice. And Watson got hurt, if I remember, against San Francisco.
Yep, San Francisco, and that was right before the bye week, and that was all the way back in. Oh boy, that was a while ago. It seems like a lifetime ago at this point. That was in week 7.
Josh, if my math serves me correctly, if the Chiefs got the bye, potentially he could come back. And that just shows you how important getting that bye week is. Because if you get a bye week, it could be the difference between having a number 2 starting cornerback versus not. Now, I will say signing Steven Nelson may have been the move that the Chiefs made because they knew that they weren't going to get Jaylen Watson back. But I don't know, man. I don't know.
That could also just be a depth thing as well, though, because, again, we've seen what else is out there. And even if Jaylen Watson were to come back and the Chiefs were let's just say the Chiefs thought there was a 50-50 shot Jaylen Watson was going to come back. You still have to, I think, go out and get someone, which is why they got Steven Nelson, because just because he comes back doesn't mean that he's going to be ready to go right away. You have to have that depth because in a playoff game, you can't afford Najee Johnson to be playing snaps for you, which is why they signed Steven Nelson. Again, you'd rather have that while working Jaylen Watson in than working Jaylen Watson in and Najee Johnson's out there, even if it's for 5 snaps, but one of the snaps absolutely kills you and he lets up a 50-yard touchdown.
I just don't understand why Mitch Holthus would tease us on this if there wasn't a shot that it could happen. Now, we see setbacks with injuries happen all the time. They initially thought that Pacheco was going to start against the Carolina Panthers. It took him another week. And so maybe this is something that would take Jaylen Watson extra time to recover from. But, we've gotten great injury news, Josh, whether it is with Pacheco or Amenahu or, going down the list, Hollywood Brown, who's going to come back in December. The Chiefs have gotten very fortunate. Pacheco returning. I don't want to completely rule this out, but I'm also not going to definitively say, yeah, he's going to be on this team in the playoffs. I don't think that's really fair to him It's not really fair to us, but I do think that, there's a shot, and a shot is better than no shot at all.
Yeah, and I mean, I don't think Mitch Holthus is an insider. I don't think they're leaking him updates, injury updates on the players, but he's connected enough. He talks to these guys. He's looked up to in the organization. They treat him very well. They treat him as one of their own. He talks to the players a lot. So I trust him enough that, I think that this is a possibility that we should pay more attention to, with the fact that he's mentioned it. At the very least, he's got us talking about it again.
And I don't think that he would just blatantly throw that out there. And Josh, he talks very closely with Matt McMullen, who's the Chiefs beat reporter, and he would have certain inside information. And I work for the team, and so I kind of understand that there's a line between they've got clearance for this, but maybe not clearance for this. My boss has certain updates on things before they happen, and it's like, how do you have that? You're nowhere near, no offense to Laura, but you're nowhere near that level of clearance. And so I absolutely think that Mitch Holthus could have some insider info because, he's connected to the Chiefs in that way. And so I don't think that he would just say something to say it, and maybe there's a shot that he comes back.
And boy, would that be huge. That could be one that very well determines whether or not this defense ever gets back to what it was before his injury. And I think that's a really huge thing because this team clearly needs its defense to lean on. The offense still is not all there. And last year, they were largely carried by their defense. That was the biggest reason why they were able to make that postseason run, was because of their elite defense. So if we never see the offense break through, with all these reinforcements coming back, you need that defense to lean on, and Jaylen Watson would make me feel a lot better about that.
Yeah, and hey, if you can't get Jaylen Watson back, Bashaud Breeland's always available. So
yeah, some other, or Marcus Peters maybe. Michael, I saw that one thrown around earlier.
Standrick maybe he's available.
I don't know if Chiefs fans would like that one. They're already kind of breaking their own rules with Steven Nelson. I don't think they'd welcome Scandrick back, but I don't know. We'll see. So, Michael, any closing thoughts on Jaylen Watson and the Chiefs cornerback situation?
Not really. I think it would be great if it happens, but I'm not holding my breath. I think it's a leg injury. It's different if it's a hand or, something else, but, a cornerback needs to be able to run full speed. And if he can't do that, that's a big part.
No, for sure. So we're going to go ahead and wrap it up there, guys. But that is the latest on Chiefs cornerback Jaylen Watson and his injury status that Mitch Holthus led us with a little bit of insight earlier today. So with all that being said, make sure you guys like, share, and subscribe so more Chiefs fans can find this. Leave down in the comments below what your thoughts are on Mitch Holthus's comments. Would love to hear from you guys. You can check out my work on showmefootball.com and arrowheadaddict.com for more. And then lastly, Michael, where can the people find you?
You guys can find me on YouTube at KC Sports Report. That's kind of the one-stop shop for everything that I do. If you haven't already done it, hit the like button on this video and comment down below what you guys think, because I think that we're both very interested to see what the Chiefs Kingdom has to say about this little rumor.
Absolutely. And all of Michael's stuff will be down in the description as always. That's all we got for this one. We'll see you in the next one, Chiefs Kingdom. And as always, go Chiefs.